So today is March 20th, 2020, and I am in Tokyo, Japan. I wanted to make this video because Japan was one of the first countries outside of China affected by COVID-19 coronavirus. And I've been getting a lot of DMs on my Instagram and text messages asking what life is like or what the situation is like here in Tokyo. So I thought I'd kind of make this video to just explain everything as far as how I see it. I also wrote a blog about it, link in the description, if you want to read a little bit more on what I have to say. I think most people watching right now are coming across me for the first time. In fact, probably all of you are coming across me for the first time. So first, a little self-introduction. My name is Barrett. I'm an American. I grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and lived around the West Coast before moving to Japan. I've been in Tokyo for about 5.5 years now. And I was down south in Fukuoka before that for 5 years. I'm currently working in marketing, so that's where I'm coming from with everything I'm talking about here. And I think that's very important because you can see a lot of people on YouTube and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and whatnot, and talk about their experiences living in Tokyo or in Japan or in wherever they are. And all we can do is talk about what we see, what we are experiencing, how we are interpreting the situation and how we are making decisions on what to do. I think most of us are not professionals. Again, I'm in marketing, so I'm very much not really in the know as far as the virus and whatnot. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt. However, this is my experience. So like I said, Japan was one of the first countries outside of China affected by the COVID-19 coronavirus. We had the Diamond Princess cruise ship that was quarantined just south of here in Yokohama Bay, and that was a really big deal. After that, we had a taxi driver in Tokyo become infected and then infect some other people. That was also another crazy event. And since then, schools have been shut down. Graduations and entrance ceremonies were also canceled. Just for your information, March is the end of the school year here and April is the start of the new school year. So it's kind of a big transition period in Japan. So it affected a lot of things. But otherwise, Tokyo, to me at least, is just one big question mark. There's not a whole lot of information out. So apparently Japan is under testing for cases, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing or what, but apparently autopsies are also not really a big thing here. So without the testing or without autopsies, you really don't know how many people actually have it and how many people actually died from it. So it's just we really don't know, and I think that's kind of scary, at least for me. Otherwise, life in Tokyo, as far as what I've seen, is pretty normal. I admit that I haven't really gone anywhere. I've been in my apartment. I have gone to the supermarket and just been around my area, but I've only caught the train a few times. I did go to Harajuku and Shinjuku on one day within the last week, but that's about it. So masks in Tokyo have been pretty much sold out everywhere, the drugstore, supermarket, and any other store. It's been sold out since maybe early to mid-February or so, I would say. Another thing sold out is toilet paper and tissue paper. And some soaps and hand sanitizers and whatnot are also very low, if not gone completely. But otherwise, I've been seeing videos and I've heard from family and friends in the US, and I've seen a lot of panic happening. The long lines at Costco, the hoarding, the brawls at the market for over a pack of toilet paper, that kind of stuff. I haven't seen any of that at all here, actually. If you go to the supermarket, the aisles are fully stocked, fruits, vegetables, they're piled up. People just casually going about their day, picking, whatever they need. They're not stocking up, as far as I can tell, on dried goods, canned goods, things just in case they have to go into quarantine. I haven't seen that, so I don't know if this lack of urgency is a Japanese trait or is just kind of being naive. I have noticed the Japanese panic a little bit less, at least from judging from the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami up north. There's videos and a lot of reports on people waiting in line for their necessities and for their food and whatnot, and it's quite different from the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina in the U.S., where there's a lot of looting and whatnot. But that was up north, and it's kind of the countryside. If news got out that there was actually a ton of cases and spiking deaths in Tokyo, the city is huge. I think it would be a very different situation. So we'll see. But we really don't know how many people actually infected, and that's kind of the scary part. There's a lot of theories as to why the numbers are not really spiking like other countries. Like if you look at Italy and the US, it's kind of on the same trajectory as China was, but Japan is kind of like here, as far as at least that's how it is today. So there's not a whole lot of information as to why. Theories range from Japan being good at treating pneumonia to just trying to keep the numbers low to show that they can still host the 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympics. Who knows? I'm not very knowledgeable on it, so that's all I can say. For me personally, I have been trying to stay at home. Like I said, I'm not catching the trains. I am going out as little as possible, but when I have gone out, life is pretty normal. So the biggest change for me personally is with work, because my company at the beginning of March implemented optional remote work. So most of us are working from home on a typical day. Some days people have been going into the office. I think, I don't know about the whole office, but as far as my immediate team goes, there's about, I've seen at most 5 people in the office and maybe like 12 people online. We use Slack for regular, communications and messaging, and we use Google Hangouts and the whole Google suite for online collaborations. And we've been looking at it on a weekly basis, whether or not to keep remote work or to call everyone back in the office. I'm thinking, because I think they want to get everybody back in by the end of March, and I'm thinking, unless some more information comes out, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go back. Luckily, like I said, I work in marketing, very much online capable, so we'll see what happens, right? But working in marketing has challenges because we are an agency and our clients might not be okay with remote work. So as some of you know, Japan has some really outdated work cultures, and that's, as far as what I can tell, is quite true. There's a lot of emphasis on being physically present in the office from this time to this time, and that's kind of how you're judged. And it's still like that today for a lot of companies. So when you look at companies that are doing that normally, to suddenly have this kind of pandemic hit and you have to change to, and you're being advised to switch to online remote work, it's not going to go too smoothly because they don't have the setup to enable their employees to do that. And another issue is that even though Japan has this high-tech image, it actually is not, as far as the market goes, as far as the average consumer is. For example, take smartphones. A survey in 2019 showed that only 74% of Japanese people use smartphones, and this is in 2019, right? And to kind of compare, in the UK, that number was 88%, in Australia, 91%, and South Korea, 92%. So 74% is very low. And Japan also is very top-heavy demographically, which means there's a lot more older people than there are younger people. So when you have this older demographic who all their life have never had to work remotely, you give them tools, they might not even know what to do. So a lot of them might have been in an online meeting, but when they're told to go home, work from home, and then do meetings through Zoom or what have you, they might not even know how to do it. So there's kind of a tech literacy hurdle that companies will have to go through possibly as well. And I actually went and looked at several countries' app store rankings to see, what tools people have been downloading to be able to work remotely from home and still collaborate. So, like Zoom is a top one, Microsoft Teams. There's a bunch of different tools. And the US and the UK had, I think, 4 tools that could be used for online collaboration in the top 10. France, Italy, Spain had like 6, I think. Japan had 1, and it wasn't even in the top 5. It was Zoom, and I think it was like 7 or 8 or something like that. So it doesn't look like Japan Inc. is very enthusiastic about pushing people to work remotely and staying home. And from personal experience, my colleague who's in charge of a client project that I'm also on, he explained to this client that we have been working remotely and we wanted to switch the scheduled meeting to an online meeting. And they took a while to think about it and responded and said, we thought about it, but yeah, we want to keep it face-to-face. This was affiliated with the government, actually. So if the government is struggling to move meetings online, how can we expect any of the private companies to do so? It's pretty hard. Like I said, schools were mandated to cancel and kind of do work online. And I just came across a tweet recently, and this is the tweet. My friend's kid's school is doing online learning. Teachers upload videos to some website and kids watch and study. When they have questions, they can't leave comments. They must either call their teacher or fax their questions. Fax their questions related to an online class. I know that sounds really stupid, but I worked at schools, public schools down south in Fukuoka for 5 years, and I can believe it. And so if we're looking at what happened at the school level, imagine what's going to happen at the corporate level if that was suddenly implemented in Japan. It'd be just chaos, right? And so what that means is, less ability to do social distancing. And I saw it the other day when I went out in Harajuku. I was walking around, as I try to keep the time short, but I was walking around and there was like a lot of people. There was less people than usual, I will say that. But a lot of the difference came from less foreign tourists. There's a ton of Japanese people just out, some wear masks, some not, but they're just out and about like it was a typical day. I'm looking at people's stories. They're going out to, izakayas and, having fun. They're out and about. It's a normal day. So not much has changed for the vast majority of people in Japan. But there are a few cultural norms that might help Japan and work in their favor. The first is that masks have already been normal. I know the jury is still out on exactly how much masks help, but if I'm just looking at my basic knowledge of having a mask, if I'm in a crowded place and someone just happens to spit while they're talking or cough or sneeze and there's like a barrier, I think that helps a little bit. So I think anybody who's kind of getting on other people's cases, because I've been seeing this as well, like in the US and in Europe, people getting mad over someone having masks. Like who cares? Just let them be. Like it's better for you if you just ignore that, and even if you don't like it or are not used to it, like it's better for you. So just mind your own business and do your thing. Another cultural aspect is that Japanese are very much hands off. Normally, they don't hug, they don't kiss. When they meet each other, they don't shake hands. They are distant. They bow. There's already a natural space and a resistance to touching others, and I think that obviously is a good thing. But we'll see what happens. On the trains as well, we're encouraged to be quiet and not talk. So one of the manners on the train is to not use your phone or not to talk on your phone. And if you are in Tokyo or in Japan and you look around, there's probably very few people that are talking on the phone. And I think just from living here, I noticed that Japanese in general are very clean, almost at an OCD level. They are always cleaning. They wash their clothes like every day. They take baths every day. for sure. And there's just a lot of little things I can do even in the office that are a lot cleaner than what I was used to seeing, when I was living in the US. So there's definitely a high level of hygiene going on, but I guess we'll see what happens, right? Because I think Tokyo can either have two outcomes. One, it is a ticking time bomb, and when the real news comes out as far as how many people are infected and how many deaths are happening, it's gonna get crazy, right? Like, it's all of a sudden it's going to be this, and then it's going to be this. So what happens, right? Or the second outcome is, by some miracle, it is able to dodge the bullet and actually be different for whatever reason. So we just don't know right now. So what people do, and if they choose to travel, because the other thing is it's spring and the cherry blossoms are starting to bloom. And I like taking pictures, and I really want to go and see some cherry blossoms. The other thing is, like I said, tourism is down like 58% or something like that. And so people have been saying Kyoto and a lot of other places are very empty. So there is that temptation, but there's just a lot of uncertainty. And for me personally, I don't feel like it's worth the risk. Some others might feel it like it's an opportunity. I can't really say because I don't know. But for me right now, I'm just gonna sit tight and see what happens, I guess. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you've got to this point, feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, subscribe, hit the bell, and so on. I'm also pretty active on other social networks too. Feel free to hit me up wherever. But otherwise, I hope the next time I see you is in a little bit better circumstances. But in the meantime, enjoy your time at home with your family and friends, and stay safe. Yeah, see you in the next one.